बोधमात्रोऽहमज्ञानाद् उपाधिः कल्पितो मया एवं विमृश्यतो नित्यं निर्विकल्पे स्थितिर्मम. Ashtavakriji says, Aham bodhamatraha. I am solely of the nature of being aware. I don't have flesh, bone. And therefore that I excludes, the I is unlike the flesh, I is unlike the bone, I is non-physical. If it is non-physical, then it is unlike the whole creation. And therefore, that's all that is to be understood by man. He is not many things put together. He is solely consciousness. Even the sense, he is unlike his thoughts. His being is unlike his thoughts. His being is unlike the objects. His being is unlike the creation. Like the fact is unlike a misconception about it. ये क्या हो रहा है? अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा. It's too high. इतना कंजूस क्यों जी? हम लोग सर्वाइव करना है जी. Should be low. 20 is all right जी. As soon as one comes, can watch. Should be between 20 and 24 or 18 and 24. हाँ जी? $18 is too low? Okay, 20. We are very flexible, ji. We are not rigid people. We are good people, ji. Bodhamatraha. The conscious being is, we are not many things put together, should be the topic for reflection. We are solely conscious being. And what I am aware of, it's not a part of my being. It may be an appearance in my being, but not a part of my being. To be like wave is an appearance. Wave is a notion in water. About water. The wave is in my mind, in thinking. If the water thinks I am a wave, it is water's thinking. If I think it is a wave, it is in my thinking. But the water itself is water, nothing else. Any form is in the form of thinking. If the water thinks I am a wave, it is its thinking. If I think it is a water, it is a wave, it is my thinking. But it is whether it is its thinking or my thinking, it is in the form of thinking, bas. The universe is in the form of thinking. It is in the form of a thought. Don't say who's thinking. Say that even the idea of whose is a thinking. Even the idea of whose, that means the idea of there being many is thinking. There being an individual, even the thinkerness is thinking. Even thinking is an appearance. And therefore thinking is thinking only from thinking point of view. Therefore, the topic for reflection in life should be that I am not many things put together. I am only conscious being. Like supposing in winter you have a winter wear. So many layers. But I cannot say I am all these layers put together is me. No. Even the physical body, as a physiological individual, I am not all these layers put together. Similarly, as a conscious being, I am not all these physiological, anatomical, psychological layers put together. As are the layers on the body etc. also are layers on the truth. Notional layers, notional upadhis. Therefore, the topic for reflection is look at yourself as a solely a being, not many things put together. You have a form, there is an upadhi, body is your upadhi, not me, it is my upadhi. Thoughts are my upadhi, senses are my upadhi. Thus discern between one's being and one's upadhis. Just as you discern between your winter wear and yourself. There it is easy to discern between the winter wear and oneself because I deliberately put them on. But here I find myself with this. Whenever I find myself with something, I look upon it as a part of me, which need not be true. Just because I find myself with something, it need not be me. It may be. It's not neither mine nor me. You find yourself with anger, it doesn't mean it is a part of you. If the anger were a part of us, and when the anger disappears, we should disappear. But the anger disappears and we survive. That means what disappears cannot be a part of what survives. Bahut badi baat hai ji. What disappears cannot be a part of what survives. What disappears cannot be a part of what survives. Therefore, when the anger disappears, you can't say a part of me is gone, no. The full you continue. If you have 1,000 thoughts, you feel you are full. And if you have one thought, you are full. Because the seer is not made of parts. Like you reduce the number of trees in a forest, the forest diminishes and becomes zero. You can reduce certain number from another certain number because forest is made of many trees. The table is made of many parts, therefore you can reduce it. You can decrease its size. But the seer is not made of many things. When the seer is not made of many things, you can't made of many parts, then it can't deplete in its fullness. Anything that is divisible can be decreased by division. The one who is aware is not made of parts. You should be aghast, you should be amazed by this fact that our existence is not divisible. The seer is not divisible. What I see is divisible. Sometimes physically divisible, sometimes mentally divisible. I can cut the tree into bits. Without cutting the tree into bits also I can visualize different parts of the tree. Root of the tree, trunk of the tree, branch of the tree, leaves of the tree, flowers, fruit. I am mentally dividing the tree. In that manner you can't divide the seer. You can't divide the seer. And therefore it is solely consciousness, and it is not made of thoughts, please. These days spirituality tells we are only a bundle of thoughts. No. We are solely consciousness. Thoughts are only mithya, appearance in our being. Emotions are appearance. Thoughts are appearance. Memories are appearance. Pleasures and pains, thoughts of pleasure, thoughts of pain are appearances. And an appearance does not touch where the appearance appears. Like the wave cannot take away the waterness of water. That is what is called being unaffected. The wave, the rise of the wave does not take away the waterness of the water. The wave, even when the water thinks I am a wave, I am indeed a wave, even if the water asserts that I am only a form and I will die. Even rona dhona shuru hota hai. Even then, its thinking that I am a wave doesn't take away its nature that it is water. Factuality cannot go away just because it is thought differently. The earth continues to be round even if it is thought flat. A fact does not change its nature just because it is thought different. That's all Vedanta. What is Vedanta? We think of ourselves different from what we are. We don't look at ourselves very closely. And therefore here, bodhamatroham, ajnanat, due to ignorance, upadihi, this embodiment, this is called upadi, means a notional conditioning. Not a real conditioning, notional conditioning. If a person thinks I am getting weak, I am getting weak, I am getting weak, that is called a notional conditioning. If a person actually is becoming weak and weak and weak physically, then it is actual weakening. He is putting on weight and then every day he takes at least half a kilo of paneer and everything he is doing, eats well, sleeps well, and then putting on weight. And he thinks मैं तो काम नहीं कर सकता हूँ, मैं तो I am feeling weak, I am feeling weak. It is notional. Notional problems are there in this world. Notional. There is no ghost, but you, in the darkness, you start imagining there is a ghost. It's notional. Illusion. Fear can create an illusion. Ignorance also can create illusion. Fear can catalyze illusion. Actually, it is ignorance. There was a man standing, and I think, oh, it's a ghost standing there. I saw a ghost last night. And it looks like a man. It is a man's ghost. किसी आदमी का आत्मा घूम रही है. But actually it was a man. But because I don't take a close look at him because of the fear doesn't allow us to take a close look, please understand. The fear in life does not allow us to look at ourselves closely. I'm all the time fearing, panicking. And to treat that panic, I look for some absorptions for the mind. And all the easy absorptions that are available in this world are, without your effort, are pleasures. Bhoga is a very easy absorption. Take a coffee, it is easy absorption. But if you have to study Vedanta and get absorbed in Vedanta, it's a little difficult absorption. You have to understand also. You can't get absorbed in reading a book. Very few people have that akal. Most people would like to find absorption in some pleasures, entertainments. Put on the movie and get absorbed. Therefore, fear, insecurity, discomfort, any kind of discomfort, physical or mental discomfort, comes in the way of reflection. Therefore, it is better to be comfortable and think about the truth. It is better to feel comfortable and think of the truth. But even though I make this statement, there is a risk in that statement. The risk is that when the Shastra says, be comfortable and think about the truth, then it looks as though an endorsement, a sanction for comforts. Then I get indulgent in comforts. When I get indulgent in comforts alone, then the vichara goes away. Therefore, I should be intelligent enough not to go through unnecessary discomforts, just to live an ordinary, comfortable, simple, comfortable life and also think about truth. That combination is the vision of that shloka which Bhagavan gives, yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya. A balance of right things in life. One right thing need not really overweigh all the other right things. You can combine all the right things in the right measure. And there are no books to tell you that. You have to use your intelligence and find out the right combination in a right measure of the right things. Exercise is necessary, comfort is necessary, yoga is necessary, prayer is necessary, and self-reflection also is necessary. To be working is necessary, to be resting is necessary, and to be eating is necessary, and not to be overeating also is necessary. I should not undereat also. I should not overeat also. This is what is called yoga. To be a balanced person. You don't allow anything to overweigh the others. Disproportionateness in life is not there. That is called yoga. Freedom from disproportionateness. Therefore, upadihi aham ajnanad upadihi kalpito maya. Upadi is a kalpita by me, means it is only seen by me. Kalpita does not mean I deliberately imagine it. That is wrong. All translations which tell you kalpita means it is imagined, it is wrong. Imagination is always deliberate. I find myself seeing it. Of course, it is false. It's like dream. I don't imagine dream. I find myself with a dream. Even though it is false, but I find myself with it. That makes it an error. That makes it bhranti. That makes it an illusion. If I deliberately imagine, I can also deliberately negate it. ऐसा नहीं होता. Shabda would not be a pramana, then reflection is not required. You imagine something. Deliberately, if you imagine, if I go to heaven, then maybe, I don't know, I may find my mother-in-law there also. And therefore, from there, where will I go? These are deliberate imaginations. These are all imaginations, you can stop them. Like daydreams, you can stop. By will, you can stop. But this embodiment, I find myself with this embodiment. But yet it is kalpita. So therefore, kalpita does not mean deliberate imagination. Kalpita means I find myself with it in the realm of ignorance. I find myself with it in the state of self-ignorance. Ignorance fundamentally is only one, that is ignorance about the truth. Self-ignorance alone is ignorance. Self-understanding alone is understanding. Everything else is self-error. Understanding an object is self-error, and non-understanding also is self-error. If you see a snake in the rope, it is self-error. It is an error about the rope. If you see a garland, that is also an error. If you assert that it is a snake, it is an error about the rope. If you doubt it also, it is an error about the rope. Any statement referring to the perceived snake is an error, and therefore, anyway, understand this much. Kalpana, just concentrate on this term. Then I skip to another word, then it becomes a problem. You can't follow all too many. Kalpana does not mean deliberate imagination. I find myself with a perception. Like we find ourselves with waking state, kalpana. We find ourselves with a dream, in ignorance, kalpana. We find ourselves with embodiment, kalpana. I find myself with anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, all emotions, kalpana. And the whole creation is what? Kalpana. I find myself with it. That is called kalpana. Creation is not independent of my finding myself with it. Otherwise, there is no evidence of creation. If I am the evidence, the proof of the universe is the seer of it. Amazing, ji. The sight of it is the proof of it. The knowledge of it is the proof of it. The perception of it is the proof of it. Therefore, when we find ourselves with the creation, that is called creation. A universe is called universe. Therefore, we are by nature solely consciousness. Embodiment is a kalpana. That is the first line. We are solely consciousness. Embodiment is a kalpana. Evam vimrishyataha. Evam, in this manner. Thinking, vimrishyataha, means thinking in terms of the distinction between what is the truth, what is and what is kalpana. What is and what is kalpana. Think in terms of the reality and the falsity. Think in terms of your presence and your upadhi. Thus, thinking about the reality, vimrishyataha, thinking, nityam, if that becomes the topic of life, that is called nityam. Topic of life means not that from second to second you have to think. Meaning there is no other topic in life except this. Once a person sees, understanding one's existence is the topic, there is no other topic, then he is always with the topic. Wittingly, unwittingly also, deliberately, non-deliberately, he is with the topic because he has already fixed the point that there is no other topic. Like man has fixed the topic, he finds him, he understands there is nothing else to be achieved in life, there is nothing else to be achieved in life except happiness. Therefore, whatever he is doing for happiness. Whether he does it deliberately or non-deliberately, is working only for happiness. Therefore, evam vimrishyataha nityam, always. Always means please don't take it as a routine sadhana. See, that is something to be understood in life. I am living to understand myself. Thus, a person who looks upon discerning between the self and the upadhi as the topic of life, nirvikalpe, a person like that, nirvikalpe in the nirvisesham, sthitir mama, Ashtabhakraji says, I take root, I get clarity that I am only nirvisesha. I remain nirvisesha. I remain nirvisesha. The more I see that I am the being, I remain the being. The more I see the distinction between the being and the thinking, the more I remain the being. Clear? Sashariramidam vishvam aho mai sthitam vishvam vastuto na mai sthitam na me bandhosti moksha bandhosti moksho na me bandhosti moksho va bandhosti moksho va Bhranti Shanta Nirashrayam. Aho, indeed. Aho means what a wonder. Aho, what a wonder. Mai sthitam vishvam. I don't appear in the universe. The universe appears in me. Like we don't appear in the dream appears in us. This is the Mayaji. We think I appear in the universe and disappear from it. ऐसा नहीं. It appears in our sight and disappears in our sight. When I see it, means it appears in my sight. When it appears in my sight, that is what is called I see it. I see the universe means it appears in my sight. And in the deep sleep state, there is no universe. It disappears in my sight. Its appearance is my sight. Its disappearance also is my sight. And that sight doesn't disappear and appear. Therefore, aho mayi sthitam. The problem is we have this fear. I come into this world, I depart from this world. This is the error place. I come into this world, I depart from this world. Is a universal error. It's not a one person's error. And that is why the Srishti Laya belongs to the universe, but I ascribe the Srishti and Laya of the universe to myself. I am created and I have Laya, I die. I appear and I disappear. But Swamiji, is it not true? Is it not true? No, it is not true. Just a casual look tells you something, and closer look tells you something else. There is so much of difference between a casual look and a closer look. The entire education is nothing but taking a closer look at the objects. What else? Taking a closer look at the objects is called. I mean, this is a simple phrase, taking a close look, as though we think it is. Say, your entire education is that. Taking a close look at things. It's called education. And a person who is not educated picks up even from the dust and eats. He says, kuch nahi hoga, aisa aisa karke. He picks it up and then he cleans it on his shirt and then puts it in his mouth. This is called casual look. So when you take casual look, then we think, kuch nahi hota hai. Sab theek hai. But education helps you to take a close look at what is dust, what is dirt, what is your hand, and educates you about what is available there, kind of bacteria, etc. Then you say, no. In the same manner, a layman is born, he finds himself with the form and he takes it for granted that he is the form and he keeps going. I have come into this world and I will go away from this world. Therefore, there is a sense of parting. There is a sense of grief. I meet people and I part from the people. In fact, the world appears along with people and the world resolves along with the people in your sight. Very huge topic, ji. Vedanta says, the world along with the people appears in your sight and also resolves in your sight. That sight is eternal. Aho mayi sthitam vishwam. Not that I appear in this universe, the universe appears in me, says Ashtavakra. It's correct thinking, absolutely right thinking. Vastutaha na mayi sthitam, but it is not my adjective. It appears in me without becoming an adjective of mine. This is even Krishna's pet statement. Everything is in me, nothing is in me. That is his pet approach. Everything is in me, nothing is in me. And he also says, everything I do, nothing I do. I do everything and nothing I do. That's why he says, once Jamunaji was in floods. All the gopikas wanted to cross the river. Some vratam, and the temple was that side of the Yamuna. And how to cross the river? Then Krishnaji said, go and tell Jamuna, if Krishnaji is Bal Brahmachari, please give us the way. And they all said, what are you talking? You are Bal Brahmachari. You have got so many gopikas around you. Go and tell it. Then Jamuna gave the way. The wonder of wonders gave the way. Why? It is true. Truth is the doer of everything, and yet he is a karta. From one point of view, it is the truth alone that looks to do everything. Untruth cannot do. Untruth is only seen. It is inert. The willer is the truth. The one who has the will is the truth. And from another point of view, the truth has no will. At the same time, in the same breath, the truth has both will and free from the will. And therefore, it says, the universe appears in me, but it doesn't characterize me, it doesn't stick to me. This you have to follow what I mean. The snake appears in the rope, but it doesn't become its property, it is its error. It is only thought so. If the rope thinks I am a snake, it is thought so. If I think it is a snake, it is thought so by me. But whether in the same manner, even if the truth thinks that I am a form, it is thought so. And what is thought is different from what is. What is not qualified by what is thought. Na me bandhosti, Ashtavakraji says, I don't have bondage. Bondage also is a thought. If the free thinks that I am bound, it is thought. Freedom is its nature, bondage is a thought. It's a very beautiful approach if you follow what I am saying. It doesn't have a double nature of both freedom and bondage, no. It is free by nature and bound by thought. Free by nature. Repeat this sentence in your mind. Free by nature and bound by thought. Unembodied by nature, embodied by thought. Don't imagine, the truth is both bound and free. It is not both bound and free by nature, nor is it both bound and free by thought. Freedom is by nature, bondage is by thought. Like, it's water by nature, wave by thinking. It is thought a wave, but it is water. It is thought a snake, it is a rope. I see myself as a form, but I am formless. Na me bandhosti mokshova. And therefore, when I have no bondage, moksha also is by unwinding the thought. There is no moksha also. I don't have to liberate myself through a process. I don't have to liberate myself. When there is no actual bondage, if there is no bondage by nature, then I don't have to liberate myself from that. If bondage were our nature, freedom would be impossible. If bondage is only by wrong thought, then right thought negates that bondage. The wrong goes by the right understanding. Wrong understanding goes through right understanding. And the truth is free from both right understanding and wrong understanding. Truth is independent of, waterness is independent of thinking that it is a wave and negating the thinking that it is wave. Waterness is independent of right perception and wrong perception. The nature is always independent. When I look upon the fire as cold, it is a wrong thinking. But it doesn't affect the fire's nature. And when I again have the right understanding, then no, it is not cold, it is hot. That right thinking negates the wrong thinking, but it doesn't affect the nature. The nature is independent of the right thinking or wrong thinking. The nature is independent. Truth is independent of right thinking about it or wrong thinking about it. Because the realm of thinking is done, the nature is. And between what is done and what is, the distinction is infinite. Between one kind of doing and another kind of doing, the distinction is relative. But between doing and being, the distinction is absolute. Therefore, between man's thinking and his nature, the distinction is absolute. He thinks in security, but he is ever secure. Nothing can touch his being. He thinks limitation, and by nature he is free from limitation. Like this. Aho mayi sthitam vishvam vastuto na mayi sthitam na me bandhosti moksho va bhranti shanta nirashraya. And my illusion is gone. Bhranti shanta. Along, nirashraya means along, and it has no, and the reason also is gone. Iska ashraya. The illusion is rooted in non-looking at the fact correctly. Not looking at the fact correctly. Not looking at my existence correctly. Every illusion is rooted in not having the right understanding about the fact. The fact is not known. There is illusion. Even in day-to-day lives, really, when the facts are not known and we are all just having illusions, facts must be known. Looking for the facts reduces the number of illusions. Otherwise, when the fact is not known, then we are living in our own make-believe illusion. Therefore, the Ashtavakraji says, I don't appear in the world and disappear from the world. The world appears in my sight, resolves in my sight. And that sight is absolute, that is timeless sight, eternal sight. And there is a confusion between thought and sight. Thought begins in sight and resolves in sight, but sight is unlike thought. Sight is unlike thought. Thought is done. Thought is entertained. Thought is thought. Whereas the sight is. Thought is brought about. Thought is entertained. Thought is done. Let us use that word. Thought is done. The sight is. So much is the distinction between Vedanta and Karmakanda. Karmakanda is done. And Vedanta talks about what? Is. So much distinction is there between Karmakanda and so much distinction is there between a Karmakanda and a Swami. Swami, true to that word, in the right sense of the term. In the south, Swami means Asami. Asami means Ajnana Swami. Asami means Ajnana Swami. They call it Swami is a very tongue twister. They will say Swami. Anna Swami. Epid Swami. Swami means half. In Sanskrit, Swami means half. That means half-minded. Half. Swami means half. Half-minded. Understand, so much is the distinction between a Karmakandi. So much is the distinction between a person who wants to be happy through the world and a Swami, in the right sense of the term. So much distinction between Karmakanda and Vedanta. So much distinction between being and doing. We cannot move from being, Jeev. Being cannot move or anything. Like the branches really move around, but the root is stable. I mean, you can use these examples to have an understanding about it. Branches can be moved, the root is stationary. You can dig it out and move it, but the being, the conscious being, it is not possible for the conscious being which is infinite to move. Like the space cannot move. Physically it can't move because it is unlimited. The physically infinite. Physically infinite. It can't move, it is. Similarly, our being is. Let this be the topic in your mind. You will not be unhappy due to presence or absence. Sahana Shakti will be a part of your life. Because a Vedanti only, a real Vedanti always buys mental peace. He buys so that he can use that peace. If there is a problem, he just throws some money and just buys his peace so that he can get into Vedanta. In that manner, money is also very useful. Money can buy you leisure. Money can also buy you peace. In sometimes money has that much of glory, ji. Lakshmi is no ordinary Lakshmi, ji. Lakshmi is very, very valuable. No wonder Bhagavan Vishnu grabbed her. Bhagavan grabbed Lakshmi. It's useful. Use money, in fact, to buy peace so that you can study Vedanta. Okay, ji, next verse. Sashariramidam vishwam nakinchiditi nishchitam Shuddha chinmatra atma cha Tatkasmin kalpanadhuna Sashariram, along with this body, embodiment. Embodiment means the body, that idea that I am the body is called embodiment. The thought that I am the body, that notion that I am the body is called embodiment. There is no body, there is only embodiment. Minus the notion that I am the body, you can't even, there is not even any body. Like, without dreaming, there is no dream world. Dream world cannot be there except as dream. That means you are dreaming. My dreaming is called a dream world. Not that there is a dream world independent of my dreaming. I don't see the dream. First, to begin with, I dream it, and what I dream, I see it. See the difference. I dream it, and what is dreamt, I see it. Not that it is there and I go and see it. Aisa nahi. It is dreamt and seen. Similarly, embodiment is dreamt, that is called a notion. I have a notion that I am the body. That is called sashariram, along with the embodiment, along with the body. Along with the body means embodiment, the notion that I am the body. This notion, idam vishwam, this entire universe along with my embodiment. Sashariram idam vishwam, the entire universe along with this embodiment. Na kinchiditi is kuch bhi nahi. This is nothing great. This is not a significant thing. Arre baap re. Ashtavakra says na kinchit. It kuch bhi nahi. It is kuch bhi nahi hai. Don't wonder at the universe. Don't wonder at your body and the mind. Don't wonder at your great intellect. Wonder at the unnegatable sight of yours. The unnegatable sight. The unnegatable is worth wondering at. The intellect is negatable, the body is negatable, and the universe also is. My perception of it is negatable. But it appears in my sight and it disappears in my sight. That sight is eternal. And therefore, this universe is nothing, but your sight is everything. The universe is nothing, but your sight is everything. It's not that it is something, it is everything. The waves are nothing, water is everything. The waves are nothing. Water is everything. It is our sight that takes the place of water, and our thinking takes the place of the waves. Think like this. Sashariramidam Vishwam Nakinchiditi Nishchitam. If it is clearly understood, this is not a big thing. Because if otherwise also I can give you so many reasons. It's nothing great. Why? It's vast all right, but it doesn't make me happy. क्या करूं उससे? What gives me happiness is great. What gives me peace is great. I should always admire my source of my peace. I should admire what makes me peaceful. Because it is the peace that is admirable in this world. Disturbance is not admirable. This creation only disturbs me because it creates in me thoughts and memories and desires. And I have to hunt for what I desire. And even after achieving it, it hardly gives me anything. It gets exhausted in no time. People crave for marriages and after 2 years they want to divorce. उब जाते हैं. You understand, you know? उब जाते हैं. And a person who can उब जाते हैं with one object, he can also उब जाते हैं another object. Therefore, the world can only make me bored. First it can attract, then it can disappoint, then it can bore me. How can it be great, Ji? You go to a Mussoorie Valley and say it's glorious. What is glory about it? Stay there for a week. You will not even sit out to see the valley. Said, bahut ho gaya. If you really think closely, there is nothing in this world that can really guarantee inner peace except your own existence. Don't give too much of value to the things. Clear, Ji? Shuddha Chinmatraha Atma. The self is, what is glorious is solely the conscious identity. Solely our conscious identity is our peace. Our conscious identity understood as unqualified by the form. Our conscious identity understood as unqualified by the body, unconditionable by anything. Our conscious identity understood unqualifiable by any form or sound or taste or touch or smell means creation. Unqualifiable by creation is indeed something, is everything. Shuddha Chinmatraha Atma Cha. The self is purely consciousness. It is solely consciousness. Don't use this term pure consciousness. Use the term solely consciousness. That solely consciousness is what is meant by the word pure consciousness. Because pure consciousness is wrong. Solely, Eka Rasaha does not mean pure. Eka Rasaha means solely it. Like a salt crystal is salt through and through. Our existence is consciousness through and through. We are conscious. We have only a soul identity called to be conscious. This is upadhi. Everything else is upadhi. Like Prime Ministership is upadhi. Mr. Modi is not qualified by that Prime Ministership. One may think it is qualifying him, but actually if you think of it closely, then it doesn't become his attribute. I tell you, if Prime Ministership became his attribute, then he can't retire. Then he can't go for elections in 2019, he doesn't have to go for elections. He doesn't have to make unnecessary promises. But because it is not a quality, it's not no upadhi can qualify the upahita. An apparent conditioning cannot qualify what looks apparently conditioned. An apparent conditioning, what looks to condition, does not qualify what looks conditioned. Shuddha chinmatra atma cha tat kasmin kalpanadhuna. Now I have understood. In that truth, what kalpana can you do? What can you imagine about it? What can you ascribe to it? Pure existence, what can you ascribe to it? Like pure silence, what can you ascribe to silence be? Which sound can you ascribe to silence? Which thought can you ascribe to silence? Which form can you ascribe to silence? Which taste can you ascribe to silence? And silence is one's being. And therefore, क्या कल्पना कर सकता है? तत् कस्मिन कल्पना अधुना, किसमें कल्पना करें? Okay, Ji, we'll continue it. The next verse. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadguru Bhagavan